God, now I'm like, we have to show off Start a Puzzle because Matt DeCourcy will love that. But hey, friends, listen to Start a Puzzle. There you go. That wasn't a finger gun. That was a thumb. Okay. Hello, friends, and welcome to IHKC Social Media Live. Very, very glad to be with you here. We do these every couple of weeks, just to check in with some of our members, talk about things that are happening in the IHKC space. Behind the camera that you cannot see, we have our fabulous voice of goddess, Cynthia Fales, Director of Programs. Say hi, Cynthia.
Hey, Cynthia.
Hi. All right. I'll allow it because that is what I said. But also want to introduce Kelsey Walker, founder and CEO of Fiddlesticks Creative. We're going to be talking to her in just a second. But first things first, Cynthia.
Yeah.
What you got for us? You got some quirky questions?
Definitely some quirky questions.
Okay.
And we're going to start with probably the quirkiest of all of them.
Go big or go home.
Go big or go home. Why not, right?
Yeah.
This is our last IHKC live for 2022
Yes.
that we know of.
Okay.
Unless something spectacular.
Yeah, let's not like put ourselves in a box or anything. Like you never know. You know, sometimes we just do things because we can.
You never know. But I saved this one for last because this is a really philosophical question.
Okay.
Is cereal soup?
Oh, what? Okay. Is cereal soup? Well, I'm going to defer to our expert. Not that you're an expert in either cereal or soup, but I have no idea.
Oh, I would say that cereal is soup.
Yeah.
It's kind of like asking if like a hot dog is a sandwich. Like kind of, but
And you're also gonna offend people with the answer.
well,
either way.
sure. Like so disclaimer, like don't hate us because you ain't us or like whatever. You know, like let's not turn this into a cereal is soup war. Okay, can we just not?
Don't make you a cereal
Happy
killer.
holidays, everybody. So here, all right. So I'm going to think through this a little bit. So typically, when I think of soup, I think of hot, and I think of savory, and I think of something that is served for lunch or dinner, not really a breakfast food. However, the exceptions that prove the rule, you have like bouillabaisse, and what's the Russian beet one? Gazpacho? No, not gazpacho. Although that is a cold soup. But what? It's a beet soup, and it's cold. I can't borscht. Borscht. Thank you. So soup can come cold. Cereal can come hot. So temperature, I feel like, is no longer a factor, right? Okay. Shit, I don't know.
Well, and both can contain milk bases.
Right.
So like
they can both be
chowders and
creamy.
things. Yeah.
My instinct, I have no other reasoning other than my instinct. Like I feel like we could go right. So my instinct is no. Cereal is not a soup. It's not, you don't find it in the soup aisle of the grocery store. Like it has a different purpose and it has a different vibe. Which I know sounds like totally ridiculous, but can we agree that cereal and soup have different vibes?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hot dogs and sandwiches also have different vibes. Just throwing that out there. I know, like somebody asked me that. I think it was Eduardo, like, and I can't remember his last name right, but he asked me that question, and I was just like, "You have just wounded me to my soul in asking me this question." Okay, so I'm gonna say no.
You sticking with it?
Because of the vibe.
I'm gonna stick with it because I feel like cereal, like the actual like content, crunchy parts of cereal, is just like crackers adjacent to soup. So I'm gonna stick with yes.
Dissent is not assault. Like we're just having a conversation here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
We need to display it in Congress.
Okay.
Yeah, for real.
You know, like seriously, like y'all can hold me to this if you want to. I want to go on record as stating that I feel that cereal is not soup. Okay. Keep an eye out on our store for cereal or soup merch.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay. Keeping it serious.
Yeah.
If you were a sitcom character, what would be your catchphrase?
I would say something that's like Melissa McCarthy's parents always say, why not you? That's what her parents said to her when she was considering stand up is, well, probably, why not you?
I like that a lot. So I'm going to call an audible and I'm going to decide. I don't want a catchphrase. I want like a catch mode. Like I want to be like the Fonz. Like on Happy Days, you know how his signature thing was like beating on the jukebox and like, hey, like that's not really a phrase to me, but I feel like I want to be like the Fonz. And because we were just talking about this and because it is top of mind, and apparently it is something that I do that I was not aware that I did until we started doing these things.
Oh man, she's doing it.
I'm going to do it.
Hey.
I never know what to do with my hands. And so I was like, catch you guys later. And then who are you? So there is my answer. Okay.
Okay. Final question.
All right.
And this one may be a little bit more personal because what we keep in our phones tends to be a good reminder, a good motivation for us of who we are and what drives us. So I'm curious, what does your phone's lock screen wallpaper look like? Describe that for us.
We're both like,
all right, hold on. Hey.
So my lock screen is a photo of me holding my daughter up. So
Checks out.
It just reminds me of what I need to be doing every day, and not only just her in a literal sense, but also the next generation in a metaphorical sense.
It's really beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Is your home screen wallpaper the same?
No, it's actually different.
Okay.
So my home screen is both my daughter and my son at a YMCA football game, and they're holding hands, and it's really sweet. But it's just another reminder of why I do what I do.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it too. Mine is not nearly as cool. I was trying to show you all, but stars. Like I love galaxies. I love thinking about the infinity of space, and stars have always just really, really appealed to me. We are all made of star stuff, as Carl Sagan would say, and I just a lot of the aesthetic choices that I get to make in my day to day have to do with galaxies and stars. I've just always been fascinated by them. Now, I am going to tell you something super cool, and you are welcome. I stole this idea from someone years ago, so you are welcome to steal this idea. But around Halloween is one of my favorite. Actually, it is my favorite holiday. And so what you do is there are 2 screenshots of the Rocky Horror Picture Show when Tim Curry as Dr. Frankenfurter is there's this one screenshot is him and he's wearing a cape. And then the second screenshot is him throwing off the cape and showing off like the fishnet tights and the leather bodysuit bodice. And so what you do is you make your lock screen the one with the cape. And then you make your background the one with him going like this. And so when your phone like turns back on, he basically just goes whoa in like this motion, and it's super cool to watch. You can find YouTube videos on how to do it. But so every year, about a month before Halloween, that is my lock screen and my background.
I love it.
Oh my gosh,
so much.
It's so fun. Like, well, and I would have gladly shown you had Halloween not already passed, but. It's one of my favorite times of the year, and that's a contributing factor.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Just thought I would share that little wisdom with you. We'll do like a social media live, and I'll be like, okay, now you have to do this and this and this. All right. So is that okay? Those were our quirky questions. How do you feel?
Pretty quirky.
Pretty quirky. I also feel quirky, but I feel like that's probably a general state of being for everyone in this room. Yeah, just a little quirky. Okay, well, so I'll tell you what, Kelsey. You are an expert. You're an entrepreneur. You're an advocate. You're an author. You're all of these amazing things. So I'm just going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to ask you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh boy. So all those things.
All those things, all the things.
All the things. So I have been in the nonprofit space and small business space for almost 14 years now. Whether that's big companies like the YMCA or Boy Scouts or foundations or any of the above, I've been around the block with those things. Very strong reproductive rights advocate, as a lot of people have seen over the last few months. And this, today I reached out to Lauren on my platform or my space in the fundraising and grant writing field that I'm very passionate about and what I founded Fiddlesticks Creative around. So Fiddlesticks Creative is a grant writing, fundraising consultancy where we tackle small businesses and nonprofits funding and strategic planning needs. And last year I raised 5.4 million in funding for nonprofits. This year I'm exceeding that goal, and have written about 8 million in funding and have gotten over 5.5 million in funding this year for nonprofits and small businesses as well.
That's incredible. And just you could be a part of it as well. Fiddlesticks Creative is available for consultations and for contract work. So some of that 8 million could be yours. Those weren't finger guns. That was a point. But
And we're having a workshop.
Yeah. Well, so what inspired you? Or I guess what feedback were you hearing, or what need did you identify when you were inspired to start Fiddlesticks Creative?
Yeah. So what I really noticed and what made me want to start Fiddlesticks Creative was a grant writing space for not only a fundraising space, for not only a strategic planning space, but for a space that encompasses all three.
Yeah.
But not just for the big companies. And that was a lot of what I was seeing is the big guys were getting a lot of the dough and a lot of the attention and a lot of the structure.
Well, because they have the infrastructure and they have the cash to throw resources at fundraising, and they have whole teams that are dedicated to it. But the small business owners and the small, the nonprofit founders like you and I, we just don't have those resources. We don't have that kind of time. We don't have the people to be so singularly focused. And so I love that. What would you say the number one frustration you hear from smaller entities, business owners, nonprofit founders? What are the pain points that you hear time and time again?
Yeah. So the big one that I hear is the word grant freaks people out. Yeah. People also don't understand what it is. So grants are sums of money from foundations, whether it's private, local, federal, state. But there's sums of money that are awarded to small businesses and nonprofits that doesn't need to be repaid.
Yeah.
So long as
non-dilutive funding with no restrictions.
Well, not necessarily. So long as you do what you say you're going to do with the funding. And that freaks a lot of people out to write that way, to think that way. And so these ambiguous applications that people think of get left on the table, and so does that money.
Yeah.
And what I like to do is bridge that gap. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is to be able to teach other people, not just for me to consult with them and guide them and things like that, but to also teach people how to use those tools to get that funding.
Well, and how to find it as well. So that's actually always been my biggest hurdle. So really quickly, I want to bring it back. You said something really, really important when we were doing pre-show prep, and I want to talk about it now. So when we think of grants and we think of development and fundraising, often we're talking about the nonprofit space. And just really quickly, I want to make sure that our business owners and entrepreneurs who are watching, I want to make sure that you understand that there is cash available to you as well in the form of small business grants, entrepreneur grants,
federal grants.
Federal grants. Like, that's absolutely available to you. And it's people like Kelsey and her work with Fiddlesticks Creative who can help you find those potential funding avenues. So can you talk to us a little bit about that? Because I think
Yeah.
that there is an overarching kind of misconception around fundraising in the for-profit space.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that I see with fundraising in the for-profit space is people are not defining what their goals are. So they might know what they do day to day, what the work is that they're going to do day to day, but haven't conceptualized it in a big way. Okay. So for Fiddlesticks Creative, in the next 5 years, I want to secure 26 million in funding for nonprofits and small businesses. That is my goal.
That's so much money.
So that's my goal. So what's your goal? That's what you need to ask yourself. What is your goal? What are the values that surround your business? And what makes you unique? Are you a woman-owned business? Do you serve the BIPOC community? Are you BIPOC yourself? What makes you unique? And then use those parameters to search for the funding.
Yeah.
Don't just type in
Small
business grants, small business funding. No, that's not going to work for you. You need to look for woman-owned, woman-led grants. You need to look for Black-owned business grants. They're out there. You just need to search for them the right way with what makes you
get
unique.
really specific in your search parameters. And,
Yes.
I really like what you said there, thinking about your key market differentiator. So, for instance, with Innovator, our two foundational ethics are inclusion and belonging and low barrier to entry. And so I might go in and search, like, definitely want to have woman as a keyword in there. Definitely want to make sure that we have that we're pulling searches that have to do with under-optimized or historically excluded founders, small business owners. Like that's who we serve, and it's the fabric of who we are. So I really like that. I was
gonna say, and you also want to be comfortable with some of the terms that the funders are using. So capacity building. Are you wanting to gain more people and add them to your team? That's capacity building.
We're going to have a conversation about that, by the way. Continue though, capacity building.
Operations. That's what you're doing day to day. That's your folks that you're spending money on being a part of your team already. That's your rent. That's your lights, things like that. Capital campaign. Are you trying to fund a new space? Even if it's a renovation of a new space, that's capital. And then something that is more so earmarked for nonprofits is endowment funding, which is basically creating a big pool of funding that you just skim the interest off every year, and that's what you use for funding, which is pretty cool. So are you looking for capacity building? Are you looking for operations? And I can't forget the all-important programming. Programming is what you're going to be doing if you're doing things like youth serving organizations, if you're going to be hosting really cool webinars and things like that. I saw those guns going.
They almost went. Almost, but I stopped my.
You're like,
stop it. They have a mind of their own. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
So you need to speak their language, and that's something that I help guide people with.
Okay. You just said something and it put like a sour taste in my mouth. So we're going to talk about it. So in my experience, and I am not a practiced grant writer. I've written for grants and some successfully. So like I feel like a base knowledge that we're talking about here. But one of the frustrations that I've come up against time and time again is the fact that a lot of funding entities, and this in particular is related to the nonprofit space, but I have definitely seen it applied to the for-profit space as well. A lot of funders, they don't like funding operations, and they don't like doing capacity building grants. Basically, they want to fund a program. And so ultimately what I've seen is that you have folks operating in the nonprofit space who create create programming to get that funding. And it could be a very beneficial program, but often when you're talking to like really small impact organizations or like Innovator, I personally, I don't have the time and I don't have the bandwidth to add new programs. I either want somebody to fund what we're already doing, or I want that operational capacity building grant money to come my way so that, hey, if we add another person, yeah, let's talk about adding new programs. Because as it stands, if it's just me, I can't do that.
Well,
So yeah, like
Yeah.
talk to us about that because
Yeah.
I think that maybe that might be shifting,
Mhm.
but I would love to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely. So, as far as operations versus programming goes, you just need to pay attention to what that funding is going towards.
Okay.
So, everyone thinks, if you're thinking operations, you're thinking of, the people that make things happen day to day.
Yeah.
But are those people actually doing your programs day to day?
Right.
That's programming. That's not operations. There's been an entire shift with how you're looking at budgeting because for a long, long time, and even now, funders look at admin costs versus what you're spending in your actual programming.
Right.
And the magic number tends to be around 15 to 18% of admin versus what you're spending on programming costs.
Okay.
This
See, I didn't know that. That's really good to
Yeah,
know.
so that's a magic number. The thing is that if your CEO is sitting here doing a webinar,
What's up?
projecting out
Does that count as a
to
finger?
all of your people and doing programming, part of that time that CEO is spending needs to go to your programming, not just. So you need to reframe your brain with what is actually programming versus fundraising. Yes, is going to be an admin cost.
Okay.
Like the actual act of fundraising. But you shouldn't be spending more than 15 to 18% of your time effectively doing fundraising.
Okay.
So if you're doing it effectively, then you are spending the rest of that time on programming, whether that's having a coffee, making a partnership, those things are.
But like, is this programming right now?
This is programming what we're doing right now. Yeah.
See, I think of this as marketing, and I think of that like more on the administrative side. That's interesting.
No, this is programming. We are talking about what's going to make it easier for your folks to be able to find funding.
That's true.
In their
That
lives.
is true. That is true. This does have an impact. So tell me this. Well, actually, really quickly, before I forget, friends, if you are watching at home, definitely, give us a shout out in the comments. Say hi. We love saying hello to the folks who are playing at home. If you have questions for Kelsey or for me or for Cynthia, I'm just going to put her on the spot back there. But if you have questions for us, don't hesitate to ask them. We wanted to give folks the opportunity to consult with Kelsey. She's right here. And she is an expert at what she does. Like we might have a question.
We have Jason Sharp, who has tapped in from LinkedIn.
Woo!
He said he's a veteran minority-owned business with primary revenue generation through defense contracts.
Oh boy. Okay.
Wow.
A huge goal to open to use all profits from his current venture to open a nonprofit which benefits inner city youth. The focus is to build leadership programs, resilience, and a path to enable these youth to see what's beyond the proverbial walls they live within.
Mm-hmm.
He says he's built the programming, the lessons, etc., all of it. He just needs a space and funding to do it.
Mm-hmm.
How would you guide him?
Really quick. Hey, Jason. First of all, thank you for joining us. We appreciate the question. But congratulations, man. That is huge. Your vision is quite beautiful. And thanks so much for sharing that with us. Okay, Kelsey.
Yeah. So my first question is, do you have a 501c3 if you're in a nonprofit? If that is the space that you're wanting to create, then that is something that you absolutely need, first and foremost. Because while you have grant funding available to small business owners, it unlocks a different door when you have a 501c3 as a nonprofit. So that would be my first step for you. My second step would definitely be making sure that you have your mission, vision, values, and your goals defined. And if you've got those in mind, which is great, make sure the next piece that you're going after is what your budget looks like. And it doesn't have to be the budget that you have right now. It's the budget that you want if you were funded for X. So if you are funded in the next year, this is your budget. Then take those budget items and that's what you go after for funding. And that's what you base your search parameters around.
So you're just saying, like, go to Google and search for grant plus those keywords that are going to be so crucial to you. Like, are there tools that you can use?
So that's a starting point. Google's, the oracle that is Google is a starting point.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Foundation Directory Online. They can do ad hoc searches and bring it all down for you with different parameters and as well as geography and things like that. Instrumental, while it's a great tool, I don't recommend it for when you're just starting out because it can be kind of pricey. But it has a smart search that it keeps searching as opposed to just a one-off search.
But like if you get, just, I don't know how expensive it is, but if you get like one grant that, covers the cost, like that's pretty, like the ROI is has the potential to be significant, I guess I should say. Like it would potentially pay for itself rather quickly as long as you're optimizing it properly.
Exactly.
Right? All right. Now I have something, and Jason, this kind of speaks to you as well. It speaks to IHKC. So something that I have learned in my time in the nonprofit and for-profit space, like particularly as it pertains to grants and all of that good stuff, is that funders don't tend to like it when you are too dependent on one form of revenue or one grant. Like, I just don't know too many funders who are going to be like, here's $100,000. We're going to give it to you for the next 3 years. But, you don't have to do anything. Like, you don't have to have anything else cooking. And the reason, and I totally understand it. It makes sense. Think about the pandemic. You had so many impact organizations and nonprofits that were so focused on things like in-person events or having physical space. And then all of a sudden, for a period of 2+ years, none of those were viable revenue streams for anybody anymore. And so it makes sense. Funders want to fund organizations that have the potential to be successful. And those organizations, the ones that tend to be successful, have a very variable and wide revenue channel pipeline, I guess. And so like Innovator, we've got program fees, enhanced memberships, t-shirts, sponsorships, business grants, personal donations. Like we're not great at optimizing all of them at the same time, but we have a lot of different ways that we can make money, right?
Well, and fundraising as itself is not necessarily a do at the same time thing. It's a cycle that you go through. And if you're just starting out looking for funding, and you're like, well, one person doesn't want to fund me unless I have other people funding me, look at who your in-kind partnerships are. So, somebody who's really friendly is Jeep Jamboree. They love sponsoring veteran things. So check them out. Check out Coleman. They love helping folks find, they love help sponsoring veterans. They love helping people find solace in the outdoors if that's part of your resiliency training with these young people. Look at these partnerships that you can find in kind. To help build your portfolio.
Okay. Well, so we've talked about finding the grants. What are some best practices or tips and tricks that you can share with the audience? Like once you have the grant application in front of you, and for profit or nonprofit, there are always going to be those specific things that everybody's going to ask you, like they're all going to want to know your EIN number. They're all going to want to know your mission and your vision and like some of like those very base things. But what are some other things that we can maybe highlight or talk about? And friends, if you have questions in this vein, don't forget to ask those questions in the comments. We will actually be answering them in real time. But yeah, like let's talk a little bit about the actual grant application itself.
Yeah. So grant applications don't have to be as scary as they used to be.
They're a little
not
scary,
all of them are,
but okay.
They're a little scary for some folks, but not all of them are 97 pages. Most of them you're going to find are in the realm of 2 to 6 or 2 to 10 nowadays. And what they look for is your outcomes, which is a fancy word for what are your goals for this funding that you're getting. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to serve 10 veterans? Are you going to serve 20 kids? Are these kids going to be from this neighborhood or from this school that you're going to serve? What is the impact that you are going to make by serving X kids? Some folks don't like the term. Some people really embrace the term SMART goals.
Yeah.
Really formulate those SMART goals when it comes to those outcomes.
Well, and really quickly, and like keep in mind that like I'm not the expert here. I've just been around for a long time. But one of the things that we talk about often when we're talking about tracking success, because the other thing you're going to have to bear in mind is like once you commit to that grant relationship or that funding relationship, you are going to have things that you will have to track. Like every entity that gives you money is going to be like, hey, we want to know, we gave you this money at the end of the year. We're going to want to know exactly what happened. And so really quickly, I just want to talk a little bit about the difference between outputs and outcomes. So an output is typically something that's very easy to track. Over the course of 2022, Innovate IHKC saw 423 attendees at our various virtual events. Fantastic. That's not actually an outcome, though. The outcome is what happened as a result of that. Outcomes tend to be harder to track, and you're going to have to be very proactive in making sure that you are grabbing that information. But so just as a for instance, we had 423 people attend our virtual events, but in that time when we send out our surveys, we can ask our members, did you meet someone who has the potential to be important to your business? Did you learn a skill that could help you in your business? Did you do this thing? Like those are actual outcomes. Our member, like we hope that our outcomes are our members have more confidence, they have the knowledge and the tools and the resources that they need in order to move forward as leaders. But I have to prove that. Like I have to figure out a way to prove it, and it's not always easy. So just keep that in mind. Once you get into that grantor, grantee, or funder-fundee relationship, you're going to have to be held accountable to the results and the outcomes, not the outputs, but the outcomes that you say you're aiming for, right?
Yeah, and if you're able to collect a vignette or two, a story that's not more than a paragraph from someone who you had an impact from, just if it's written, fantastic. If it's a video, oh my goodness, funders will skim through all sorts of things, and then they see a video and they push play, and then they go, oh, that's what I'm giving money towards, and then they'll skim through the rest of the application.
People who are the people who are reviewing these applications, they're people too.
Yeah.
And part of if you are going for an impact or a nonprofit grant, like you're gonna have to pull at those heartstrings a little bit and just be like, hey, look, this is whatever issue we are addressing. It's a very serious problem, but here is what our intervention can mean as far as the solving of this problem. And you have to figure out how to put those into words that are not only but also kind of like anecdotally impactful. Human. Exactly.
And it's not just nonprofits though. These are on all grant applications. We're wanting to see the outputs and outcomes and testimonials. So those are definitely things that'll be asked of you on the grant application. So be thinking of those. Some other things are DEI statements. Those are going to diversity, equity, and inclusion statements, how you are addressing the issue surrounding inclusion and equity, and what your stance is on that. That's going to be asked of you, whether that's three sentences about this is what our policy is, or if it's a defined policy that you guys have. That's something that will be asked of you.
Yeah.
Something else that will be asked is what you're planning on doing with the money.
We're not just just to be really clear, like we're not just talking about, oh, well, we're going to spend it to hire someone, or we're going to spend it to buy a new walk-in freezer. Like they get pretty specific, right, Kelsey?
Yep, they do. Yeah. And if part of it is a walk-in freezer so that you can maintain your food longer and reduce waste because you're applying for a environmental friendly grant, then you need to make sure that you address it that way.
Yeah.
The biggest piece of advice I can give you is make sure that you're answering the question that is asked of you and not in a colloquial way. Make
Yeah.
sure that you are answering it directly, as well as in terms that a regular human can understand, not just a human in your occupation.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't like jargon around here. It's not fun.
Yeah.
Cynthia, do we have any other questions, comments coming in?
Jason said thank you.
Oh,
All right.
you're welcome, Jason. And thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us. Well, so final question, I think. How are we doing on time, babe? We're good. All right. So we've talked around this. We've touched on many different things. But if you could share one key takeaway other than reach out to Fiddlesticks Creative, but one key takeaway when it comes to finding funding for your business or your impact organization, what do you wish your clients already knew when they come to you?
A lot of it is making sure that they understand themselves from that mission, vision, values, and your impact perspective. If you do your homework on those, then you're able to skip a lot of the onboarding process and really be able to expand your avenues for funding. So make sure you really understand those. And shameless plug, but if you're in the Kansas City area and would like to attend a workshop for that to help you define those avenues of funding, as well as helping you understand what goes into a grant application, I do have a workshop coming up next week.
All right. So what's the date? Where is it? What are the details?
Yes, yeah. So it is it's the 16th. Oh, thank you.
We can work this out. I do this too. People are like, "What day is it?" I'm like, "I don't even know what day today is." Next week?
Yes, it is Thursday the 15th from noon to 1:30. I will feed you lunch. You will also get a brand new workbook that nobody else has got before, as well as one free coaching session with me with getting those values and mission and vision defined. And it'll be at the Junior Achievement Center.
They have such a great space.
They do. They truly do.
It's freaking fantastic.
So join us December 15th, noon to 1:30 at Junior Achievement, and we'll get you set up with some tools that will make your 2023 that much easier to succeed in.
Well, and if you can't attend the workshop, where else can we find you, Kelsey?
Yeah, Fiddlesticks with an X. Creative.
Okay. We had a whole thing in pre-show prep. We were like, wait a minute, how do we spell this?
Yes. So, not like your grandma spelled it. Fiddlesticks with an X. Creative LLC on Facebook or LinkedIn, or fiddlestickscreative.com. Reach out and love to help you out.
I love it. Very cool.
Do they need to register for the workshop?
They do need to register for their workshop, so I get a head count on food and printing.
Okay.
Do we do that through the Facebook page or through the?
It's available on Facebook page. It's also available on Eventbrite.
So Fiddlesticks Creative Facebook page and Eventbrite. You should be able to search it. It'll pop up.
It's the Find Your Funding workshop.
Find Your Funding. I like that title.
Yeah.
I like the alliteration. I could not
too.
even tell you why. Like, I'm just like, can everything start with the same letter?
Mm-hmm.
No, that is super cool. And I mean, thank you so much. So now we have Cynthia. I'm going to put her on the spot just a teeny tiny bit because I have a list of things that I'm supposed to talk to you about IHKC, and I remember like maybe 2 of them. But first things first. So the one that I know that we have, so tomorrow is December 6th. We have our December monthly meetup, last one of the year. We are actually extremely, extraordinarily excited for this one because We're going to be supporting long-time innovators, and also one of our new board members. But we're going to be supporting Bliss Books and Wine. Some of you may have heard, and some of you may have seen us posting about it in the IHKC community. But Bliss Books and Wine has had a roller coaster of a ride to get their brick and mortar. Their new retail location opened up. They never gave up. They have overcome some nearly insurmountable obstacles to bring this to fruition. They have a beautiful vision of a community convening space around books and wine and conversation. And the space is absolutely gorgeous, so we're going to be checking it out. Tomorrow, December 6th, 8:30 a.m. We go to about 10:30 or so, and I hope you come prepared to buy some books for yourself or some friends on your holiday giving list, but definitely do that. By the way, I do believe that Cynthia Fales, our voice of goddess, has a book available that you can also purchase through Bliss Books and Wine. So keep an eye out for Decoding Joy. So you like how I just did that little plug in there? Like it was my subtle plug. I slipped it in. Nobody even noticed.
As well as me throwing in the book.
Yeah. She just tossed it. She was like, well, you know what? I caught that sucker too. I was like, I just looked much cooler than I actually am. But yeah, so definitely come hang out with us tomorrow morning. We're going to be talking about books, y'all. I mean, it's going to be amazing leaders, amazing people. Kelsey's going to be there. Yep. I'm going to be there. I think Cynthia's going to be, yep, we're getting the Rocky thing. She's going to be there. Come hang out with us. Let's buy some books, support an innovator-owned establishment, and just show Lene and Lanisha how absolutely proud we are of them. So that's number one. Number two is Hell's Bells. Okay, I remember what it is. We have the Innovator KC gift guide, and I will be releasing that tomorrow morning. We're going to be talking about it at our meetup, but we have curated a beautiful list of items created by innovators, women-owned and gender minority-owned businesses, and cannot wait to share them with you. We encourage you, as always, but especially during the holiday season, please shop local, please shop women-owned. Please shop Kansas City. Make sure that we are pumping money back into our economy and supporting our small business owners and entrepreneurs as much as we can. We have put together a very, very pretty listing of places and things and beautiful stuff to help you do that. So keep your eye out for that. We were talking about finding your funding.
There you go.
And Innovate Her KC, just so you all know, if you are enjoying this social media live or have enjoyed them in the past, I'm sure that you're enjoying this one because it's great. But, if you have experienced some benefit from Innovate Her KC, please keep your eyes out for us. Doing what we do isn't always cheap. Takes money. I don't think it surprises anybody, but we need your help to keep doing what we do. And so if you'd like to make a donation, that would be wonderful. But we are actually currently running a capital sponsorship campaign. So if you know of organizations that want to get in touch with a brand like Innovator KC, one that is connected to incredible leaders, extremely diverse, very engaged. We've got a lot going for us as a brand, my friends, and we would love to connect with businesses that want to put their brand in touch with our members. So definitely have them reach out to us. You can have them email hello@innovateherkc.com or reach out directly to me at lauren@innovateherkc.com. Oh,
Janae said, AKA donate and support this mission.
AKA donate and support this mission. And that was Janae Gamage, I'm assuming. Janae was on our last IHKC social media live and is our director of marketing. So I feel like she might be a little biased on her input, but we will take it. So listen to Janae, the Harriet Tubman of, funding? Yes. The Harriet Tubman of funding. That's what we determined last time. I am the Joan of Arc of nothing, apparently. but anyway, so yes. And then Cynthia, I feel like I'm missing something.
New collaboration.
Oh, that's right. 2023 is coming up, y'all. We have some really exciting things in the pipeline. We're doing some really, really good work to not just serve our members, but to serve our members in deeper, more impactful ways. We want to find ways that we can break down those barriers and address the systemic issues that women and other historically excluded leaders have experienced on their journey. So we've got some really cool things coming down in 2023. Keep an eye out for some new programming. I think the most notable one that I can actually talk about right now is we will be kicking off a collaboration with Keystone. Keystone Collabs, Black Excellence is also in there, but we're going to be bringing you some programming, some really cool stuff in 2023, and we are kicking off in January. So keep your eyes out. And I think that's it, except we're going to have the voice of Goddess chime in and tell us what she tells us so well.
First and foremost, thank you for sharing your day with us. We appreciate you tapping in and listening to all of the golden nuggets shared from Miss Kelsey Walker of Fiddlesticks Creative. Make sure that you find her workshop information through Eventbrite.
Find your funding, yep.
Or Facebook, and sign up for that. It's next week, December 16th or
15th.
15th, December
Yep.
15th. And also, to help us spread the word about the work that Kelsey is doing and the work of IHKC, please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and just generally share the heck out of it.
Share the heck out of it.
Share it.
We always have Cynthia do that because I always forget how to do it and I sound like an idiot. So thank you for doing that, Cynthia.
Thank you.
And thank you all so much for coming along on the journey with us, for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen to us. My nonsense, her wisdom, and her amazingness. There you go.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely. All right. Happy holidays.
All right.
All that good stuff.
See you in 2023.
Just gonna make weird faces until you tell me I'm out.
Put your finger down so that-
I'm not doing the finger